sir. You got a funk on yourself. There we go. Hello, sir. You know her as Dizzy Flores. Let's bring out Tina Myers. Tina, welcome to the stage. All right, you know our next guest is Carmen Ibanez. Let's bring out Denise Richards. Now, our next guest hasn't done a ton of panels with you guys. I know he's done maybe a couple, but I want to bring out Patrick Muldoon. All right. Oh, there it is. Patrick's got his Funko. Now, you know our next guest is Ace Levy. Let's bring out Jake Busey. And our next guest is a living legend, the amazing, incredible Michael Ironside. Mr. Ratchet himself. All right, guys, let's sit down, make yourselves at home, and let's give a show to these fine folks. First of all, thank you so much, LA, for turning out. This is a Sunday morning. Look at this audience here. Beautiful. 28 years later, and we're talking about this film. First question, actually, I have for you, Michael, because Paul Verhoeven, he's a genius. Especially watching his movies now, I think he is one of these uncompromised directors that makes art. I want to ask you, because you also worked with him on Total Recall. Can you talk about your experience working with him and what stood out to you the most about his directing style?
No.
Awesome. Fantastic.
No, look at Paul's like one of those amazing directors. I've said this before, I've worked with maybe 5 what I call artists in filmmaking. An artist, by definition, and everyone here has heard this before, for me is they come with an idea, it goes through a medium, and it goes into the audience's mind with the least amount of distortion. Paul's one of them, Walter Hill's another. I don't want to name too many because of all the ones that I've worked with and I don't mention will get pissed off. But Paul's one of those people where, for me, he makes it safe to act. Because acting is like being children. You know, children are the best actors in the world. And Paul gives us a completely safe environment for me to create and take chances in. You feel safe. He's like a very powerful and very, very safe parental figure to work with.
That reminds me of when he was yelling at me so loud.
I didn't ask you a question.
I
didn't ask you a question. Why are you always sitting beside me? Am I supposed to look after him?
By design, Mr. Ironside, by design. Now, look, in November, this movie turns 28 years old. It took us in the United States to catch up to the storytelling that Paul was telling. Talk to me about, when you look back, does it feel like it was just yesterday or a lifetime ago when you guys made this epic movie? Both.
It feels like just yesterday until I look in the mirror.
Yes, you guys are all still so beautiful. Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dizzy was not the character that you originally read for. You originally read for Carmen, right?
No, that's not 100%
Okay.
correct. No, I never did read for Carmen. But when I got the script, Carmen had not been cast yet. In fact, Johnny had not been cast yet. And so they were still looking for them. So my original audition was supposed to be for Carmen, but when I was reading the script for background, I just kept finding myself gravitating more to the role of Dizzy. It's just the lines, I just felt like they would flow off my tongue a little bit easier than Carmen's lines. And I also just thought that the physicality of Dizzy and just being, quarterback of the jump ball team and getting to do all the fun things with the guys.
I hate flip 6 3-hole. I hate that play.
And I got to say the flip 6 3-hole line, which was just, that was it for me. I said, I would like to read for Dizzy. I just feel closer to her than Carmen. Although and besides, I didn't want to, I love that Denise got the role of Carmen. But anyway, so yeah, I chose to audition for Dizzy, and I never read for Carmen. So.
But Dizzy spoke to you. That role spoke
Dizzy
to you,
for
right?
sure spoke to me. Yes, I gravitated more toward that role, and then I auditioned for it. Yeah.
Something I appreciate watching this movie back is how it still holds up. I love the fact that Paul uses these practical effects, and at the time, he's blending the newest technology, and it looks pretty seamless, especially for 1997, guys. Talk to me about working on Paul's set, because these are pretty massive sets that are all practical. So how does that help you channel your character and your performance?
Well, we had a lot of downtime because they were always setting up the shots with all the you know, like all the CGI shots. They called them plate shots. So there was a lot of technical stuff that, you know, that we got to like kind of just hang out and just, all right, like, call us when we're ready. You know, when you're ready. We're throwing the football around, or Jake's, you know, he's firing off his potato cannon into Hell's Half Acre. Jake, can you tell us about your potato cannon?
What?
Your potato cannon.
Oh, the potato gun, yeah.
Oh, the gun, yeah. Okay.
That was really fun. A friend of mine was driving from Canada to Belize, and I said, well, what? Wyoming's on the way, stop by and say hi. And when he got there, he goes, I gotta show you something cool. So he takes me to the farmer's version of Costco, where we get all these pipes and glue and stuff. We go back to the hotel, and in the parking lot on the back of his pickup, we made these potato cannons, which have now become real popular, but then nobody knew what they were. So we were firing the potato cannon, which sounds like a shotgun, out the window at the trucks getting on the freeway.
That's what we
He
did
was
while we were
using
waiting.
it to get into character.
Yeah.
While we were waiting for shots to be set up, firing potatoes out of, you know, PVC guns.
And for some reason now in Hell's Half Acre, there's all these wild potatoes growing all over the place, and they don't know where they came from.
That would be a trip, because where we shot the film was down in big sinkhole, and it had all this, like these minerals that they mined. That's why it looked like a different planet. And all of our trailers and everything at the base camp was up on the flat ground. Like if you're driving by on the freeway, you wouldn't see where we shot. And so we would stand on the rim of this little mini Grand Canyon and just fire potatoes, like one after the other. So yeah, there could be like a miniature Ireland over there, just potatoes all over the place.
I repeat, actors are children.
For a lot of you guys prior to getting this, I've seen you in other things. I knew you as Griffin Stone from 90210, Lucinda Nicholson also from 90210. You did BH 90210, and also you were also Kelly Taylor's stepsister on 90210. And I knew you as Jeff, the dude that took Kelly from Zach Morris and Saved by
I
the
did
Bell.
more than that to Kelly.
Oh boy. And then Jake in 97, you also had another film that
I was
released.
just trying to spice up their relationship, you know what I mean?
Oh man, it's true. You did spice up. It reminded me of that Coldplay thing that just recently. You know what I mean? It kind of reminded me of that. But Jake, you also had a movie in 1997, Contact, right?
Yeah, Contact came out in
1997. I want to, for all of you guys, young actors, a lot of you guys, this is your first, second, third film ever doing this. Talk to me about getting the role and the training process that Paul put you guys through.
Well, from my point of view, I mean, I believe that we all had unique experiences, but you do the audition, and then for some reason, unlike most films, kind of we're just always hanging around the production office or watching another actor audition, or the first AD I had worked on my first movie with, and so it was like old homely. Greg, yeah. And the crazy thing that made my audition even more fun was you're very nervous. There's a huge opportunity. You're unknown, and you're just, my God, this would be incredible. I could pay the rent, you know. And so I see Greg there, and he says, "Oh, hey, Jake, how are you?" We have the big, you know, reminiscing. He goes, "What character are you reading for?" And I said, Ace Levy, and he goes, "Oh, come here, check this out." Brings me back into the guts of the office, and there, the whole wall is the schedule of the movie, all pieces of paper taped together. and it shows each actor's day out of days. It shows how long each actor will work. And he goes, oh, so this is your character, and you're gonna be, if you get the job, if you pull off this audition, if you're good enough, you'll be for the run of the movie. So I was like, yes. Oh God, I'm even more nervous. And but yeah, then shortly thereafter, like we meet, and then Casper and I started working out together at the Sony gym, and Luke Wilson was there, and I was a big fan of Bottle Rocket. That was the movie he had done, and I became friends with him. And then we tried to recruit everyone else to work out with us too, and it was a real.
You didn't ask me.
I didn't know you. We had asked who we could.
I knew you, Pat.
Casper and I knew each other from way back.
It's the good-looking people club.
I didn't know any of them.
Yourself short.
I didn't know anybody.
I want to ask you about the shoot itself, because this, I mean, especially by today's standards, this is not an easy shoot. This was grueling. There was heat strokes, chipped teeth, cracked ribs, injuries on set. What was the toughest day that stuck with you on set?
That's different. That's different for everybody.
I'm sure that is.
But I mean, we had one day that Michael and Dina, we were in a pit when the tanker bug was coming out, and I can let Michael tell his part and Dina tell their part, but it was very traumatic for both of them, and there was, out of the three of us, there was one left standing at the end of it.
This is all in one scene.
Yeah, so it was the scene where Johnny and Diz are trying to yank Ratchek out of the pit in Planet P. Whiskey Apple, is that Whiskey Apples?
Yeah,
Whiskey Apple. And in doing so, it was it was very difficult because we didn't really have any level ground. We were just in a pit of sand, vermiculite, and so you couldn't really get your grip. And anyway, so doing it was very odd and awkward. And when we pulled Michael out, I wound up like smacking my head on the ground and kind of knocking myself out.
You had like
It was brief. It was brief. I did have to be observed. I did get observed overnight by a nurse to make sure I didn't die in my sleep. But I was okay and everything was good. They got an insurance day and I was fine. It was all good. Michael has a different story, which is also very unique and interesting. Michael.
Yeah, I shit my pants, pissed, puked. I got heat prostrate. The vermiculite was, Paul wanted something that reflected the light. So I was stuck in this half costume inside this pit of vermiculite that reflected all the light in 105-degree weather. And I don't remember shooting the scene. Casper actually told me that I turned to him and said, "What's my line?" just before the camera rolled. I was in a full blackout.
Yeah, which was totally Michael knew everybody's lines. I mean, he's one of the most professional actors, and he's very intelligent, and he knows everything he's supposed to say. But literally, at one point in time, he turns to me and goes, "What am I supposed to say?" And I told him, "You know what to do." And so he goes, "You know what to do," and I shoot him. But it was the first time I was like, "You guys got to get him right away." I go, "You guys got to get him out. He's out. He's not here. He's not here at all." And they're like, "What?" And then they took him to the hospital.
Yeah, I got I ended up in the hospital that night on an IV and stuff.
So Dizzy knocked herself out, and he was in the hospital, and they're like, "Well, what else can we shoot?" And I'm like, "I don't know, whatever you guys tell me to."
I was a knockout.
Yeah, she's a knockout and knocked herself out, and Michael had an interesting change of clothing.
But Casper, that's wild to me. I can't believe that happened in one scene. Like having your two principal actors go down in one scene. That's hell for production. I will tell you that right now. But for Casper, correct me if I'm wrong, but you also knocked out or chipped your teeth when you fell on your face, right?
Yeah, I was riding the tanker bug, which was just the upside down hull of back of a hull of a boat, and had two wires attached to me. And I'm 25 feet up in the air, and it's on a Caterpillar truck that's going forward and around in circles on a gimbal. So it's going like this, and I could ride it pretty good. But the very first take, they go, here's your loaded weapon. It's got the shotgun shells in it. It's got the Marita rifle ammunition in it. So whatever you do, don't fall on your weapon. And I'm like, mental note, don't fall on your weapon. And I'm riding it. I'm riding the tanker bug, and the wire catches me. It pulls me down because it yanks me one way, pulls me down. I'm going face first, and I just pull my weapon up like this, and I face first onto the tanker bug, and I chip this tooth and the one down here, and rang my bell so hard that they said something to me, and I answered a different answer, and they go, what? And then I go, yeah, we can shoot it again. And they're like, oh, okay, well, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So the next take, I go, mental note, if that happens again, don't fall on face. I'm a quick learner. So I'm doing it, riding again, shooting, and all of a sudden, it gets pulled me down again. This time, I throw the butt of the gun in my rib, and blood shot out of my mouth and hit the camera. And Mark Emery Moore, who's our Steadicam operator, goes, man, I didn't know you had one of those pellets with the blood in it. I go, I didn't.
What a brutal shoot this was.
You gotta remember, we were using all those guns, those rifles, those space age rifles, they were actually M15 and M16s. They were cut down and put in these artificial space age stocks. And Paul wanted very large flames coming out of them, so we had full loads and actually overloaded shells and stuff, so we get like a 5 and 6 inch flame out of it. And a number of people got shot in the face. I got burned. One of the sequences, a gun went across my face and burned my lips and my nose. About 4 or 5 extras got the backs of their necks and ears burned and stuff. When you got like 100 extras running and shooting real guns, you know, with flames coming out of them, and Paul screaming, more. People get hurt, you know. It's
all part of the
price
job.
of glory.
It's all part of the job.
I won't point out who shot me in the face, Dina.
Was it? Oh, there we go.
You know, by the way, Rock a lot of the
Whatever.
weapons.
It wasn't really getting shot.
It
in
wasn't
the
on
face. You got a
purpose.
little fire blast
looked
on the
very good
side.
doing it.
It was a little. Don't be a baby, Michael. You're better than that. Come on.
We're Rock Galati, the weapons guy that we had. He came to me. He goes, we just broke the Guinness World Record for the most amount of ammunition fired in a film ever, and that was at 2 months and a week. And we shot for 6.5
We still hold
months.
that record?
We still hold that record.
And remember, this was a satire on violence.
The joke's on us.
But it is legitimately still taught in film schools now as for that purpose, not just a big popcorn, big budget movie, but also for its political satire, which is quite incredible 28 years later. But on the flip side of that question, do you guys have a memory that you still hold dear that makes you laugh to this day from working on this film?
I do.
Shoot,
Let's
Patrick.
hear it.
Casper and I, our fight scene was 62 takes.
Was it really?
And so part of the gig when there's 2 funny moments. So you remember when like my side is holding me back and they're
Closer to the
holding
mic.
Casper back and
Closer to the
yelling
mic.
at each other.
They can't hear you.
Great to be here at the. Where am I? Got it. So Casper and I, our fight scene was 62 takes. When they're holding us back, basically like we're going like this.
Close to the mic.
Oh my God!
He's
This is
a
a
musician. He's a musician, by the
Trained
way.
actors.
Anyway, it was 62
so when
takes.
Casper, after they said cut, Casper and I would be like this, and we'd grab each other's hands and do thumb war.
Do a thumb war, yeah.
And it was 62 takes when I have to lift Casper, and it's my job not to drop him. And it was, Casper is, you know, a heavy guy. And it was about take 59 that I slipped, and I dropped Casper. And so that was that.
Yeah, he dropped me on my head. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So the next time he overcompensated, and I fell off the table and landed on my back on an apple box. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So then I got to knee him in the face.
Casper, you went through the ringer on this movie. Losing teeth, hitting apple boxes.
There was another really funny another funny incident that happened during the shooting of the infamous shower scene. Getting ready to shoot this, and I don't know if you guys heard about the whole Paul shooting it naked. He wasn't.
I always heard this rumor.
Yeah, he wasn't naked when he shot it. He just kind of flashed us because I asked him to, because only because he was so like he was having a hard time with us being so bashful and shy and not wanting to get completely naked amongst co-ed, 20 different people of mixed gender, and we just kind of were a little embarrassed by it. So, so he did it for my sake, because I was like, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? So he called my bluff, did it, and that was that. But this isn't the funny part.
And we were all like, thanks a lot, Dina. And she's like, I didn't know you would do it.
Right. But that's not the funny part. The funny part was that when we finally did have to disrobe, these two clowns, Jake and Casper, had a little surprise in their pants. Jake,
It wasn't
Casper,
a little surprise.
there were two Dirk Diggler size surprises. You know what I'm saying? Under showing anybody? You know what the Dirk Diggler is? Anybody? It's
Boogie
long
Nights, Boogie Nights.
extendo penises. They were long and big. And it only made it that much
Close to
awkward for
normal.
them when they took them off. Because normal and
Not normal.
Whose idea was this?
Huge. Jake's.
it was Jake's idea.
This is like
100%. Jake knocked on my trailer and goes, Casper, I got a great idea. Here, put this on. Jesus.
That's great. I love hearing stories like that.
Was the set disappointed when you took them off? Kidding.
That's the flip side of everything. Now, there's this. I'm sure you guys have seen The Office. There's this thing where Andy says that I wish I knew I was in the great times when I was in them or whatever. But for you guys, when you were making this film, is there a moment that you would like to relive on set? Not necessarily to change anything, not to change the performance, but to soak up the energy, to live in that moment, to be back on that set, to know that you guys are making something that we'd be talking about 28 years later.
For me, when people ask me my favorite memory of any project I've ever done, I always go back to this movie because it was a 6-month shoot, and the best times were the down times in between takes and traveling together, and we were all pretty much at the same level of our career except for Michael and Clancy, of course, and it was just nostalgic, and there was just such a common bond for us.
Yeah,
and-
camaraderie.
yeah,
Like
and
a
it was-
traveling circus.
It was, and we were just so excited, and it was just new and fun, and this has always been my favorite memory of any job I've ever done.
Yeah. We were staying in the middle of nowhere. It's like we were in Kadoka, South Dakota, and we just kind of take over the town. You've got people staying in the Best Western or the Motel 6, and there was like the bar that everybody kind of went to afterwards to eat or drink or whatever after we were shooting at the end of the day. And everybody, there was so much bonding.
There was a lot.
that went
we
on.
had so much fun on this movie.
It was like camp. It was like a traveling camp or circus, like we were carnies. Yeah, and just going from town to town.
I kind of want to piggyback off of the bonding aspect of this, because I want to know who was the biggest trooper behind the scenes when things would get tough on set, but kept pushing everyone forward.
Michael.
Michael?
Yes.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I just asked who was the biggest trooper behind the scenes when things would get a little bit chaotic, a little bit tough on set, to make sure that everything keep pushing forward, keep moving on.
Not me.
You really were, you really helped us all so much, and
He had made a few movies before
Yeah, he's a
that.
seasoned veteran, so we kind of looked up to him to show us the way. Show us the way.
but the ones that, the newbies, I would say Casper's enthusiasm and spirit really was infectious.
That's true. Our Johnny Rico.
Johnny
Look at this.
Rico.
Look at, whoa.
Rico's Roughnecks, baby!
Wait a second. This is a Paul Verhoeven film.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. He basically motivates everything. He is our leader. He's all the things that you need. Fear of getting his wrath or his displeasure, I think, kept us all fairly motivated. You know, he basically, if he sort of said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" You immediately want to take a quick inventory of who you are, why you're there, and who's standing next to you, so you can blame them.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that, you know, I appreciate that. But we were a family, you know, and you have your moments with your whole family and everything. But we really worked. Paul Verhoeven calls the shots. He had Captain Dale Dye yelling at us. He'd come to me and go, "Rico, go make sure the troops have water." And I'd be like, "Yes, sir. I'm not a sir. I'm a Marine. I work for a living? And I'm like, yes, Captain Dale dies, sir. But it just was just a thing that we just did, and because Paul's there, you're not going to not listen to him. And Michael's words were inspirational, and we were, we had to have each other's backs, and I feel like we still do even to this day. So it's really quite beautiful to be around all of them, and to have this resurgence with everybody loving it. So thank you.
Speaking of Paul Verhoeven, he is a genius. This is his movie. And when you're on set with something like that, or somebody like that, I feel like you just kind of have to learn something or take away something from that experience. So what's something that each of you took away from that experience that helped carry you through other facets of your career?
I wouldn't have a career if it weren't for Paul Verhoeven. I mean, I wouldn't have the career that I have. I have people yell at me almost every day. They'll yell something, kill them all! And my kids grew up with that, which is not a normal thing for people to be yelling at you in Disneyland or when you're picking your kids up from preschool, but it's what they do, and my kids are used to it. So I'm so grateful for it, and I've got this friendship now that I have these people that we get to do this together and see each other and laugh about old things that we did, and we have you guys coming up to us, and it's just a beautiful experience. So that's what it's just it's a humbling and beautiful and wonderful experience, and I'm just still so grateful for it.
Yeah. How about for the rest of you guys? Did you guys learn anything or take anything away from working with Paul on this film?
I mean, I think we learn and take away things from every production that we work on. I mean, you learn what works and what doesn't work. If I were to go back and redo my lines for Dizzy, I feel like there's so many things I would do differently now, 28 years later, even though I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a great film. I think it was so great at the time, but then, as we grow up, we grow, and then you go, I could have done this, or I should have did this, or I should have done that. I mean, you always I think as actors, you always beat yourself up with performance and stuff. But there's something we take away from every production we work on, whether it's how to interact with crew or cast or your co-star, situations that you're dealing with. I mean, there are so many things. I can't tell you one specific thing right now. With the Starship Troopers thing, maybe never bluff on Paul Verhoeven because he will call you on it. Right.
That's a good one. That
Sounds
one's
like
good.
you're talking from experience in that one a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Look, one of the biggest memories of this movie is these giant bugs. I felt like they looked so good on screen. And even, I was just recently watching this movie back, and I was thinking, man, in 1997, the graphics, you guys remember the Star Wars re-releases, right? I say that Starship Troopers had better CG at the time than the Star Wars re-releases did. And it's quite impressive to see that, the practicality. But I wanted to talk to you guys about working on screen with these practical bugs. What was that experience like?
Well, we had Paul behind the camera with a broom and a tennis ball as our eye line, and he would jump around like a maniac. That's what we reacted to. We only saw renderings of the bugs prior to shooting, and then there were a couple times on set.
There were pieces
that
of
we
dead
got
bugs.
to see. Except for the brain bug, we did see that in person when it came out, which
With the
that was
KY
quite
show.
a
With
sight.
the puppeteer.
The brain bug, my nemesis was real and disgusting.
Man, when they wheeled that brain bug out and we were all standing there, everybody's mouth just dropped.
It was
Are
hard
you
to
kidding?
take it
They're gonna put
seriously.
this on film for the public? It was like the worst.
It was a really funny, the brain bug was very funny to work with because it looked, I mean they were calling it like a mangina.
Well, it was.
Because it looked like a penis with it looked like, and with the other parts, and between, and a butt, and like all the parts, all the ugly things put into one thing. And then between takes, the puppeteers would have buckets of lubricant to moisten the whole thing and get it all glistening and drippy and
On my
just, more, just slap it on, and just, it was, it was that. It was, and it was funny. But then, it was, it was drama.
I mean, it looked disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. It looked pretty disgusting on screen. So I guess it
You
was
can
like
only
that in real life.
imagine off screen.
I mean, the thing is like moving like this, and the guy's like just it was just.
It had to be a record for how much. I mean, I know you guys got the ammunition record or whatever, but there had to be a record for KY jelly used on.
Yeah, I would imagine they had buckets.
They had buckets of
Big buckets of it.
Buckets of it.
Gross.
Here we are 28 years later talking about this film, and we're seeing new audiences discover it for the first time, and actually audiences that are understanding it during their first viewing. Talk to me how it's like for you guys seeing new audiences discover this film for the first time.
Well, I love coming to Comic-Con, seeing the different generations that are enjoying the movie and watching it, and seeing such a younger audience. I love that, and it's great that it still holds up and that all of you still enjoy the movie.
Love that, love that.
It's all Paul and Ed's story, Phil Tippett, you know, and that's why we're here. If we're here because of Paul. So, you know, but when have any of us had the experience that younger generations are coming up, seeing it for the first time? You're the dude who got his brain sucked out, right? You know, from kids.
It's still apparent, isn't it?
There wasn't that much to suck out in the first place.
That's what she said.
Whoa. Yo, this is an early morning panel. We kicked it off right on Sunday.
We just took a left turn.
Wow. There we go. Denise, I have a question for you, because I think looking at the movie now, I think that the one thing I liked about it, especially with your character, is they didn't over-sexualize your character in this film. Carmen makes some tough choices, and and early on it was divided by fans. But do you think audiences misjudged her back then, and would she be looked at differently today?
When a lot of people come up to me about breaking up with Johnny, for me, I made the choice
Careful.
of her also trying to protect him, because I didn't want him to get killed, and I wanted him to not be distracted by us being apart and having that love with each other. So for me as an actress, I made the choice that she was also doing it to protect him, and that we both would be apart and then one day go back together.
And look,
Nope.
the way she played it, you know, when people come up and they have such a visceral reaction, that's kind of what you want as an actor, to have that. So she played it the way it was written, and she did it beautifully, because then people, if she had been somebody that, you know, had played it slighter or less than the way she did it, you wouldn't have wanted to root for this to be together, and then you wouldn't have the loss, wouldn't have been so great. So it was just, you know, Paul was very good, you know, at getting us to do exactly the way he wanted to do it.
It was a lot of conflict.
Yeah, a lot of conflict there. So I think she did a great job, and I've always been impressed with it, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate what she did. So. It's hard to play that as an actor, to be somebody that, you know, you can then be vilified in some way or whatever. It's hard to be that, you know, but when you play it well and people react that way, then you've done a job well done, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you guys heard the fan theory? I guess we'll call it the Verhoeven verse. The fan theory that Total Recall, RoboCop, and Starship Troopers all happen within the same universe.
They all what?
They all what?
So there's a fan theory. When I was doing a bunch of research on this film, there's a lot of fan theories online that Paul Verhoeven created, or didn't create, but all these movies, RoboCop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers, all happen within the same universe, and they're all satirical takes on you know on the message it was saying.
Well, I mean, Michael was in a couple of those, but you know, Rice Cooper did these artwork of the three posters, and I have them of RoboCop and Total Recall and Starship Troopers, and I have his posters above my desk because I feel like they're a trilogy.
All right, so there we go. You think it's a trilogy?
Yeah, but look
in
at
a way, I mean,
look at the common factor there is Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah.
You know, Paul loves, and I don't want to speak. I've talked to Paul a few times, but I don't want to speak for him. But in my opinion, he loves to create films that the audience will argue about afterward.
Yes.
He just doesn't want you to eat your popcorn, have his shit, and go home. You know? he basically wants you to discuss it, and he'll try and work both sides of the table on that. He loves to cause a certain amount of intrigue and stuff. I can't get over that we're talking to a large yellow duck out there. It's like, And the other thing I'm obsessing about is
That's funny.
Mother Ducker.
the people that are signing here are doing such a wonderful job. But I got amazed at how they translated and signed potato gun. Now that's talent.
You know, Basic Instinct would hit at a certain time in my life that I was fairly impressionable. And the end of the film, for those of you who've seen it, you remember, you think that, oh, okay, it was all a misunderstanding. Sharon wasn't an evil person, and they have sex, and that's like the last scene. But right afterward, you see the camera crane down and lands on the knife under the bed. And so I'm sorry about that, guys. So when Sharon Stone is done with Michael Douglas, she's sitting on top of him, and then the camera cranes down and it reveals the ice pick. And so I always wondered, what does that mean? Does that mean that she was gonna grab it and she was gonna actually kill him and she was the bad, the antagonist in the story, or did she really change her mind? Because it's completely 50-50, it could be either way. And I asked Paul, and what did that mean? What did that mean? And he looked at me like an 11-year-old kid, and he goes, I don't know. So, as per Michael's
I
take,
think Paul's going to tell you the truth.
Yes.
He's a storyteller.
Yeah.
His job is to engage the audience, and not answer questions, but create questions.
Michael, I actually think you make
let me know like that in such a clever way and succinct.
It's his way of saying, what do you think?
Yeah.
I actually think you make a great point, Mr. Ironside, simply because I just recently watched back, I know at the time it didn't hit well, but I recently watched back Showgirls, and it is a divisive film, but it is also a satirical take on that whole thing, and at the very least, it engaged discussion, which is exactly kind of what you were getting at. Now, we know that Starship Troopers is rumored to be remade by Neil Blomkamp. Now, I'm not going to ask you if you want to reprise roles or anything like that, but what I will ask you is that what Paul Verhoeven did so brilliantly was he took this, for lack of a better term, this fascist right-wing kind of manifesto and did something, a satirical take on it that we can appreciate today. For you guys, what are you hoping that they get across in this new version of Starship Troopers to stay true to the not the original book, but to keep the heart of the story that Paul told?
Well, I mean,
Well, if they were staying true, they'd be hiring all of us.
Yeah. And thank you guys. And Patrick is very true and correct. But you know what? There's no way in hell that they can make another Starship Troopers that comes close to what Paul did. And then, as Michael said, like,
Don't quote me. Don't
to
fucking quote me. You'll get it all wrong.
To quote Michael Ironside,
Leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Drop the mic.
at our 15-year reunion, the whole movie was shot out of sequence. We started the movie in the middle of the story, and every day was not. So it was confusing because your memory gets set thinking that like it's told chronologically. At least for me, for 15 years I was seeing the movie over and over again, and it was like it just wasn't clicking for me. Like, why is this so famous? Why is this such a cult classic? Why do people love this movie? And then I went a long period of time without seeing it. So I was like with new eyes. So I was able to watch it, and the story that Paul tells and how he does it, I realized it's the perfect narrative tale. It is cut perfectly. There's no extra. There's no under. and it moves. It's as far as executing a film, like there's no way you can do it better. So these people that are making this new Starship Troopers, I'm sorry, but
This is what I know about this.
not going to be as good.
This is what I know about the new Starship Troopers. In Paul Verhoeven's contract, he had the right to be to direct any sequels. So until that gets settled with him, I don't know if any movie will be made. Now, a TV series they could do or direct to video, but a theatrical release would probably have to have the approval of Paul Verhoeven because he has first refusal to direct any direct-to-theater release. So
I think
that I do know.
I think the answer is
I didn't
in
know
looking
that.
at the remake of Total Recall.
yeah,
That's the answer.
Or RoboCop.
It's a piece of shit. Who wants to why do you want to repaint the Mona Lisa? Why do you want to fucking do the irises, you know? Well, we'll do them in green this time. Fuck off. Leave it alone.
Well said, Mr. Ironside. Well said. I think that
I'm old enough not to give a shit, you know?
I can see that, sir. I can see that. But honestly, I actually think that the Starship Troopers, if it does get remade, I don't necessarily know if there's a reason for it to get remade. I think that we're all a little tired of just remakes. I would just go say watch the '97 movie because it still holds up.